We're the talk of the town. We're the artists, the actresses, the filmmakers too, meeting Venus. Yeah, we're coming through. Shine your light, let your voices be heard. We're spreading love with every single word, from the stage to the screen. We're making our mark, me and Venus, together we embark.
Good afternoon. I'm very happy today to welcome Katy Ogradi. She is a actress, an artist, a filmmaker. How are you, Katy? How is everything?
Good, thank you. I was really feeling that opening music song. That was really
Yeah,
great.
you like it? You can listen it in the rewind
I liked it.
of
Yeah, it
the
was
show. If
great.
you like, I can share it with you.
I loved it. Yeah, what a nice intro. Thanks for
Great,
having
great,
me.
great. First, because I've seen you started like an actress, I want to know how did you start to be interested into performing between your childhood and teen years, and as well, how what did you do to transform from like a fan or an amateur of performing into a professional actress? Your journey, your early journey,
That's so nice. It's so nice to reflect on that, especially after it's been the holidays over here in the States. And
for
so
sure.
got some time with the family and you look back and you kind of
Great.
remember where you came from.
Yes.
I'm from a really small town, really
Uh-huh.
small town. And we just didn't have acting or drama or celebrities or, I mean, all I ever really knew was
uh,
television. So
Sure.
my,
Which state? Which part of the United States? Which
this is
state?
Oregon. This is
In,
Pacific
in
Northwest.
Oregon.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm from
So,
Southern Oregon, but then I migrated upward a little bit later. But
uh, so
my dad.
you only used to watch television.
Oh yeah, all those old
Hmm.
films, from the 20s, 30s, 40s.
For sure.
I was just actually watching some old ones last night on Turner Classic Movies. That's how I was raised, and so
Yes.
probably the best teachers of all time, really.
For sure.
Silent films and Katharine Hepburn and all those old movies. That's how I was raised. So I loved it. I dreamt of it secretly in my heart all my whole young life. And then when I was in high school, got into theater and luckily had a really encouraging drama teacher, Mr. Burgoyne. And
Yes.
we took us to New York for the first time and told us about his life as an actor. And yeah, it was really always dreamt something like that might be possible for me from a little girl on, but didn't know how that could ever happen. Like, how is that possible? How could I make it happen?
Hmm.
And then I thought I was going to get into television. And so I started working as an entertainment reporter and I was interviewing celebrities,
Yes.
um, asking them about their careers and their lives and their origin stories and how did they do it. And I
Yes.
was talking to Jennifer Lopez and I was like, man, I am talking about things that are very personal and private in her own life. And what I really want to do is be acting and it was a movie she was on, doing what she was doing. So I just started taking acting classes. And
Yes.
yeah, and it changed everything. I moved. I
Yes.
had moved to Portland at that point. So it was a little
Yeah.
bigger city, a little bigger city, not quite the small town. Still there was no possibility for that to happen in my small town. But
For sure.
later, yeah.
Speaking before we move to speak about your career, speaking about interviewing celebrities, I used to do the same. I worked for television as a producer. I used to write the script for a broadcaster like yourself, and we used to be behind the camera with the director, to follow up with the question and if she needs to change the script according to the answers of the guests. So I used to do so in Egypt, my country.
Yeah.
And I right now in social media. I do the interviews myself online right now. I speak six languages and everything, so I do with not only North American, with Latinos and European, etc.
Oh,
But
wow.
the thing is, I think you might noted that right now, because there are a lot of interviews going on in internet, not only in press junket. I think I don't know if you noticed that, but some celebrities a little bit they just fed up with interviews, or they don't want to do it. They only do it for their contracts. Did you notice that? Because most of the time I feel that a director or an artist, they do the interview like, let's get this job done. Did you feel right
Right.
now this it's
Yeah, we
something
do
has
know.
happened between interviewer and interviewee right now? Hmm.
I do notice that. I mean, gosh, this was years ago, but you get some really exciting. It's like anything else. You might click with a person,
Hmm.
and just because they're a celebrity, they might be more guarded. But sometimes your chemistry connects, like people like Jodie Foster or John
Sure.
Travolta, Brad Pitt, Steven Spielberg, Tom Cruise. Those guys, they all had so much excitement, energy, and the love to talk about what they do. But then you would meet other celebrities who really didn't want to talk at all. And I felt for them because it just
Uh-huh.
wasn't in their personality, or maybe you weren't clicking with them, or
Uh,
they were tired of all the same kinds of
yes.
questions. So you did notice, it made my job a lot easier when they would open up and talk to me. Laura Linney is one of my all-time favorite ever moments of getting to talk to her.
Yes.
She's brilliant. Um, and actually, she invited me to her play, The Crucible, in New York. She said, "You should come." And you know what I did? And I
Yes.
went and got to meet her afterwards and have that little moment of connection, like real human to human.
Yes.
And other times it's just a business, and that's okay, because people have to
Sure.
protect themselves, and they have to keep going and have to keep themselves safe in this industry, or whatever they
For
have to
sure.
do. So I never took it personally, but I did really appreciate the really kind-hearted actors out there, and directors who wanted to open up and talk about what they do. And
For
I know
sure.
my viewers back home love to hear. We love to hear about it. So I
Uh,
do. I love it.
I interviewed many European, and some of them live in the United States. For instance, in the Carlo Vivari, I interviewed Udo Kier, who started in European cinema,
Okay.
and he moved to California. He's based in California, and he's like, a cult star, and he worked in everything. So
Mm,
he was very happy, for instance, because I researched him very well,
mm.
and we spoke like it was a written interview, but we spoke about all his career,
Oh,
you
that's
know.
great. Oh, he probably loves
So
that. That's
yes,
great.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I only as well in Egypt. We used to receive NBC, and I used to watch on daily basis Jay Leno and
Yeah.
Conan O'Brien.
Oh,
But I felt some of the stars they love it so much. Although they finish the interview, they sit on the couch for the following guest. You know, you
right.
know.
Yeah, they're having a really
So
good time. Yeah. I
yes,
hope
yeah,
it's
I
not a dying
think.
art. I really hope it's not a dying art, because I know with the
Mhm,
film critic, I was happy to see your email, because
of
I knew
course.
some really lovely film critics and back in the day. But, people don't necessarily want to hear from film critics as much as they want to hear now from, at conspiring to hate your movie.com, or whoever it is,
Yes,
that they,
yes,
I hope that we still hold space for people that care about cinema and movies, and care about, like, the art of what's happening,
for sure.
and a conversation. So it was nice to get your message,
You're
and want
welcome.
to
You're
talk about it.
welcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I work in distribution of American films in Egypt in the 90s as well, in the seven major studios,
Yeah.
for 5 years. So all the time we've been in contact with agents, with as well for film festivals, to invite celebrities in Egypt and in Dubai and stuff like that. And before I forget, this morning accidentally I watched a video about since you love black and white and classic
Yeah.
films. I,
Yeah.
d-
For sure.
I, d- I don't know if you have seen this film, The Best Years of Our Lives.
Who's in that one? So I have problem. Like I watched 6 black and white movies, and
So
I
yeah,
probably
you
only
must watch
like
this film because
best years of our life. Have you seen that one?
he is an actor who won the Oscar, the best year in our lives. He was not a professional actor, but he was a World War I veteran, and
Uh-huh.
he lost his both hands, and he played a character close to him, like a handicapped soldier who went back to the United States after the war, and he won the Oscar for this film. And I saw some videos about it, today accidentally, and I think I will try to find it because I haven't seen this film because
Oh, yeah. It doesn't ring a bell to me.
yes, yes,
Um,
I will send you the video
yeah,
about it. Yes,
yeah. I'm curious. TCM is playing in the background right now. Last night so it's from the classic movies, so it's old movie station here in the
for
States.
sure, for
But
sure,
last night I watched Road to Ruin, which was directed by a female director in the early 30s.
for
And
sure.
she was billed as Mrs. Wallace, but her last name was Davenport. And I was just reflecting on how not a whole lot has changed as far as what that film was about to today's politics in the States. And it was really fun to see a female filmmaker,
Sure. In
have
the
a film on.
in the early years of the industry. Yes,
Yes. Oh, very. Just this is shortly after silent films. Her husband was a
yes.
silent film
Early
star.
years of the talkies, yes. But
Exactly.
yeah, right now, Katie, you told me about your interest into acting and your teachers. Right now, tell me, how was your journey to break through and to get your first role, like in The Hunted
Oh
and
yeah.
Grimm and Portlandia? Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was so exciting. So I was working at the television station, as I
For
said,
sure,
as an entertainment reporter, taking
sure,
acting classes and daydreaming that this is what I was going to get to do, but caring very much about the art.
for sure.
And on our station, there was an interviewer that came on that said, "Hey, we're casting a Paramount Picture movie, The Hunted, with Tommy Lee Jones, Benicio del Toro, who at the time was
Sure.
nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Of course,
Yes,
Tommy
and
Lee Jones,
and William Friedkin directed it.
William Friedkin, who also
Yes, yes,
directed The Exorcist. So of course I knew
for
who that
sure,
was.
for
And I thought, well, why not me? I didn't really have a headshot. So I kind of
sure.
made one at the mall or something really
Hmm.
sad.
Hmm.
And I went out and auditioned for it. And I tell you, I have the silliest story of that. I didn't know how to audition. Auditioning itself is an art for actors,
For
you know?
sure, yes.
So I
Hmm.
didn't know how to do that. And there was a kid in my scene, and I didn't know, well, where's the kid? It was just me auditioning. So I grabbed a pillow and I pretended like this kid was just
Talking.
nothing you would ever do, but I didn't know any better. But
Yes,
that casting director, her name was Susie, she gave me a break, and she's like, I think we're going to bring you back. We're going to bring you back for the callbacks for the director, but this time no pillow. Like don't don't
yes,
pretend like your son is a pillow. Thank God. And I landed that job, and that was several weeks on a Paramount Picture film,
for
which
sure.
I proceeded to get cut from. Not a single scrap of meat was in that movie, but it made me realize I miss this. I love this. This is my future. And I don't know what it is. There's just like some small calling inside of you that's like, do this. And it takes so much strength to just start. And so I'm very proud of that young person, me, for starting, because I started down acting classes with an incredible coach, Laurel Vouvray, who teaches in Texas now. And she had worked with Sanford Meisner, who the Meisner technique is one of the
For
greatest
sure.
all-time
Hmm.
techniques. I now teach it because I love it so
Yes,
much. And that sort of got me an agent and got me booking commercials. Agents love when you book commercials. It makes them money. It makes you money. Everybody's happy. And then they start auditioning in the Portland film community. And the story of Grimm, which is NBC, love that show. That role was actually written and for a man, and same with the show on Leverage for TNT. But the directors
hmm,
let me read for it.
hmm,
Sadly, during that time, and still, a lot of really great parts are written for men and parts that women could easily play. And they gave me a shot, and I got to book those 2 roles back to back, which really helped, get things going for me, which I'm very appreciative of Cast Iron Studios. There's so many people that just are always helping you as an actor. You're never just out there like doing this for yourself. There's just so many people breathing life, including yourself, breathing life into our work, breathing life into our careers, breathing in some belief that it matters, that we can keep going as artists and keep continuing to, bring characters to life, stories to life. So I felt really, really grateful for that. And, it's just been a great ride.
Sure. Tell
Yeah.
me, when and how did you decide to move behind the camera and sit on the director chair?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, so I had gotten so lucky to do 8 seasons on Portlandia with the team from SNL, Saturday Night Live. There's Fred Armisen
Yes.
and Jonathan Chrisell, who directed, and the Broadway video team. And I just thought, oh my gosh, seeing how they're so engaging behind the scenes, and so you really got to like be part of the whole experience, and it was such a family experience. And I thought that's the kind of director I would be. So as I was producing, one of my films opened at Tribeca and got some really great accolades. That's called Rid of Me.
Hmm.
And produced for another person again. And I started realizing like how much we think that, there's some secret to a job that you might want, but it's often not a secret. It's often just the doing it, the going down and
Yes.
again, that little whisper of hope saying you could do this.
Sure.
So one day I was talking to a really good friend in New York City, Alessia, and she was directing. And I said, oh, I'll direct someday. And she said, no, you direct now. She's Italian. She's fabulous. And I said, oh, no, I haven't gone to film school. I haven't studied cameras and lenses. And she's like, oh, you don't need that. You need DP. You are a director. And she said, you say you direct now, you direct. And I said, okay, I'm a director. The saying that out loud shifted something for me, whether
Hmm.
you believe in like opening, dimensions or whatever you might believe in, maybe if you believe in God or you believe in destiny, but it just the saying of it out loud
Hmm.
was opened doorways for me. And I just started saying that to people like, yes, I direct. It was very hard to say that. I didn't have anything to show for it. And the next week I got 3 directing jobs.
Hmm.
So it was also my time, I was ready to do it. And starting to direct short films, starting to direct small commercials and do things, kind of opened the door for my production company. And now I do that for people. So they come to me, they might need a commercial or they might need a short film made. And then that led my body of work led to me. This year I'll be directing 3 feature films,
Great.
which I'm super excited to be crossing over into feature narrative. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So, but
Yes.
we're always just out there trying. Hopefully one day I'll direct episodic. That's my goal, is to move also into episodic directing. So
For sure. Most of the great filmmakers, I mean, women filmmakers, they didn't, I think, most of the time study in cinema. I mean, as writing and directing and lensing and everything. But I think it's a cumulative experience, through your work and your knowledge about every aspect of production, because you need to foreseen everything, behind and in front the camera. But right now, tell me, as a filmmaker right now, what do you think of the current status of production? I mean, what I noticed, because I
yeah.
have like a distribution background, that the lifetime of films in cinema, has been shrinking all the time. Right now, recently, for instance, the new film with Tom Hanks and Robert Zemeckis, like 10 days or 2 weeks, and it's on digital, on Blu-ray,
Right.
and The Joker as well, and many, many, many films, even if they sometimes they are successful. So tell me, right now, do you think right now directing films for networks like Amazon and Netflix is the way of the future right now?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I mean, listen, I'm caught between both worlds because I love going to
Yes,
the theater,
for
and
sure.
I love films that are beautifully well made, and you can go and look at the artistry
Mm.
that's being done. But I also feel like I've also been a champion of creatives for a long time. I
Sure.
own an acting studio, and I've owned that for 17 years, and and mentored and championed a lot of new voices and new creative artistry. So the way films are being made now, while the quality is not what we all remember and adore and love, and maybe that is a fading art, much like theater, where it still exists, but you have a specific crowd that goes to the theater.
Yes.
I do think that more voices can be heard. And, right now it's just a wild, wild place right now. And like what's happening with these 1 minute to 5 minute movies that are online, or content that's being directed for streaming. I think it's kind of a smorgasbord, and it'll probably narrow again, as my feeling. But we don't really know what exactly is going to happen with all the AI and everything else that,
Mhm.
will it enhance small movies that need a little bump, or will it completely demolish what we all know? There's a lot of fear around that. So really what I try to do is I try to just say, well, listen, I know the filmmaker I am. I care about story. I care about, I'm a performance-based director. I want story. I want to care about the people I'm watching. And I want people that are watching to feel themselves, not just see themselves, but feel themselves in my characters, and hopefully go along for a really great ride where they can slip away like I do, probably you too, probably all of us, when we watch something
Yes.
that we can just disappear in. And so for that, I'm excited. I'm excited that there's more opportunity
For
for
sure.
all kinds of filmmakers. As a woman, I mean, geez, like what, 5 years ago, it was like 1 in 50 women were directing.
Yes.
1 in 50. That is not representing that we are half
Sure.
of our culture. And the
Mhm.
types of stories that we want to tell and our perspective. So I think it's making room for more stories and more storytelling, and the churning game of Hollywood and the churning game of how that all works for me gets me a pretty overwhelmed, and I can honestly feel a little blue about thinking
Mhm.
of our future in film. But I do believe people want to see themselves as a humanity represented, and want to sometimes either root for themselves through the lens of the camera, or relate to seeing their own vulnerabilities and suffering that maybe they can't even tap into for their own personal reasons, but
Sure.
experience it for themselves. Or perhaps they just want to laugh, and have a great night. So I think that will always continue. And so I feel some sense of hopefulness, and when I look that direction instead of the other direction. Does that make sense? It's kind of took you on a little journey, but it's a big subject. It's a big subject. Are you still there?
Yes. No,
I
Katie,
wasn't
can
sure
you
if
hear
I
me?
talked too long. I was going on and on. I
Yes,
thought,
yes.
well,
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
No,
Yeah.
no, no. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Good.
Sorry.
Um, just right now, before I talk to you, I'm editing a catalog for a festival in Egypt. So
Uh-huh.
one of the films was just released last month. It was directed by a young woman filmmaker. Her name is Hiba Yusri, and it's a romantic comedy. It
Hmm.
was released in cinema in Egypt, big production, and it will
Hmm.
be in the competition of the festival next January. It's an African film festival, so films from
Oh, great.
Egypt and all Africa. And also, I noted, because I'm editing everything, the DP, the DOP, the director of photography, is a young lady
Yeah.
as well. You
Oh,
know?
I love to hear that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
really making room. And I know the
yeah,
conversations that I've had recently, for myself and my films always start off like, who do I know that's female? Who can we align with?
sure.
That's always one of my first questions. Just to continue bringing more people in,
Yes,
giving more of us a link to continue this work. Yeah. Yeah. The
yes,
film festival circuit is a wild ride too.
for sure.
I have a short film that I'm just finishing up for the film festival circuit. So
Hmm. Yeah,
congratulations to the young filmmakers on that project. That's really
yes.
exciting.
Most of the filmmakers like yourself who began in front of the camera, sometimes they go back into acting and working with
Yeah.
projects of other filmmakers.
Yeah.
Tell me right now about this balance in your life. What are your what are your plans in the next period to, if somebody proposed to you a very nice role, good cast, good script, You know, you like to go back in front of the camera, be directed by
Yeah.
another director. Mhm.
Oh, that's such a nice question. I do. People say like, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to act or are you going to direct? And I'm
Yes,
like, I say yes. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, I love Bruce Lee. Do you know who Bruce Lee is? Bruce Lee said, I'm going to do both because I've
yes,
made up my mind. I'm going to do
yes,
both because I've made up my mind. And that's something that I care so much about. I don't think they're that far away from each other, directing and acting. And I
for sure.
really love being part of productions and good stories. So I did just shoot there's a thriller out right now with Jordana Brewster and Scott Speedsman called The Cellar
Hmm.
Door. Lawrence Fishburne is in it. I
Yes,
got to go play with them this last
yes,
2 years ago, and a series called Going Home. Next week, I'm going out to shoot as an actress on a film called Out Come the Wolves, which is going to be great.
sure.
I'm always auditioning. I'm always connecting with friends and filmmakers that I want to be part of their projects on. I have a great team behind me that really supports me. I also
For
do
sure.
voiceovers, and when you're an actor and artist,
Hmm.
especially right now, we had our strike this
Hmm.
last year.
Last year,
Yeah, so but it
it's
bled over to this year, so everybody's
for
been a
sure.
little slower. So it's kind of interesting that we're all more collaborative than ever because of it.
Good.
Everybody is more interested than ever in being part of each other's work and great projects. So I do have my features that I'm working pretty diligently on. One is called Click Like to Die, and it's a zombie comedy.
Uh-huh.
I'm really excited to direct that. And
Hmm.
another feature called Fear of Glass is another suspense story, and then a comedy called Six Deadly Fingers. That's going to be
Hmm.
a really good throwback movie. It's going to be a lot of fun to direct. Yeah, I'm
You
looking
know,
forward to
since we spoke about artificial intelligence and technology, I think artificial intelligence will ease a little bit the process of writing and producing and
it.
post-production as well, if we talk about special effects. Because
Mm,
right now, the most sophisticated special effects, you can do it in a very small computer right now. You don't need big time software rendering,
yeah, yeah,
like used to do for Jurassic Park or The Matrix, in the 90s, or Terminator 2, in the 90s, to have, to render the graphics. And right now, I think the line between television and series and cinema has been blurring, all the time.
oh
I've
yeah.
been seeing right now. Last week we finished watching the Penguin, and
Mm,
right now we're watching the second season of Silo.
mm,
And I mean the production values. It's cinema like. I mean, if you talk about sets and costumes,
yeah.
you know, and
Oh, it's
lensing as
so.
well.
I
Yeah,
think
right
about
now.
series like Pinky Blinders on Netflix, one of my favorite series.
Yes,
Oh,
production values.
yes,
You
incredible.
got to go back and live in the era. Of
Oh, it's
gangsters.
incredible.
It's easier than before. I'm planning to watch the old Scarface, since you love
Oh yeah,
black and
yeah,
white.
yeah, yeah.
I have it here. I downloaded.
Yeah.
I used to be addict to Turner Classic Films, by the way.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I watch all the library. I
It
think
has
so.
been. It's on a lot, and it's actually and that's why I have such a heart for cinema. Is you
Hmm.
know, um, those are the movies that I can just slip away on and
For
be
sure.
gone. And you
Hmm.
can set aside and just really go along for the ride. And I think to what you're saying though, as far as cinema being a great production value,
For sure.
I think that it mostly matters to us, to our age, probably,
Uh-huh.
craftsmanship. But to younger folks who are not watching television at all, there's a study that's been
For
done
sure.
that something like, I don't know, under 25 or 20 or somewhere around that age range and under are not watching television at all. And they're only watching their phones and screens. So we do have to adapt. How do we reach that group? How do we tell
Yes.
those stories? I just played around with a producing friend of mine, Nico Sietzman, And we made a series, eight-part series called
Hmm.
60-second therapy, and each episode is 60 seconds, just to play around with that group, that only really has their attention span for that amount of time. And what could we do? Could we make somebody laugh? Could we make somebody change or think within that short period of time, just to
Yes.
stretch myself and just to not, I don't want to get lost ever in the way it should be
Uh-huh.
versus the way that it is. But also holding on to like your own value system and what you really want to
Yes.
accomplish in your work is important too. Of course, that's important, but I have a big heart for kids and teens, and
Yes.
a program for them as well that we make movies together. So I want to not ever lose sight that to be a voice in their market and to keep up with what's happening for them. So
Sure.
that's something that I think is important as a filmmaker too.
Yes. Right now, Katie, since we are in holiday season and
Mm-hmm.
approaching a new year, do you have certain aims or goals you would like to achieve in the upcoming period? An act and a role you'd like to perform, a dream role you would like to perform as an actress, or a certain topic you like to tackle, like you said right now with teenagers, you know, something you would
Yeah.
like to tackle as a filmmaker.
Thanks for asking that. If I can be Allison Janney, I would be Allison Janney. Do you know who she is? Laura Linney, Julianne Moore.
Hmm.
Anything that those three ladies would do is
Yes,
absolutely my dream. Like I don't know if you've seen The Diplomat with Kerry Russell, but season 2, Allison Janney is part of season 2. She comes in later, but whoo, I just, head to toe chills. And if I could be in a series that was politically driven and aligned with certainly my own values and politics, I think I would. I care about roles that are intelligent women that
sure.
really have a voice. And if I could just encourage writers out there to consider that when they're writing for men, could that role be a woman? Do we need so many roles that are for men? Could we include more intelligent, smart, fun? They could certainly be any spectrum of sexy or valuable in our society as they get older.
Yes.
Those roles I really, really care about. I think I care less about undervaluing women. And then
Uh-huh.
as far as like what do I want to do to be more inclusive of kids and teens, that pocket, that question you asked. Listen,
Yes.
I'm doing it. My zombie movie is definitely for that crowd. It is for the gamers. It is for the up and coming teens, and it's a throwback to the 80s, like John Hughes films. It's Breakfast Club,
Yes.
it's Shaun of the Dead, all coming together. Group of
Yes.
kids get stuck in the bio room, and they're trying to figure out how to get out while their school is being overtaken by zombies.
Hmm.
I'm doing it.
Hmm.
Like every day that I work on that film is both a love letter to my past and to John Hughes films, Pretty in
For
Pink,
sure.
Breakfast Club, all his incredible 16 Candles movies that
Ah,
changed my life, while keeping in mind like what are the themes and issues of kids and teens today, and how do they want to see themselves represented, and being inclusive, and also commentary on issues and problems they face, such as in America, when kids go to school, they don't know if they're going to come home or not. We have school
yes,
shootings. And so that's not too different than a zombie apocalypse. Are we going to make it out of
for
school
sure.
today? Who
Yes.
knows? It's really, really insane when it comes to those topics. So
Yes,
keeping
I
my,
need as well. Right now, parents should be very protective of for their teens and children right now because a lot of things are happening around the world and even here as well.
Mhm.
I'm in Ecuador in Latin America right now,
Okay,
and
great.
a lot of things happen with teenagers. If their parents and their loved ones they don't really care about them, a lot of things could happen to young people. But I'm
True.
very happy to meet you online here, Katie, in this interview,
Aw.
and I will send you the video about the classic black and white film, and as well, I hope when you have a new project to announce. Please, without any invitation, please come back and we can talk about it again to promote it.
I would love that. I would love that so much. Yeah, and I think I'm going to find myself in Abu Dhabi this 2025 for playing a role in the Swiss Family Robinson
Yes,
remake.
you
So I'm
would
looking
love
forward to being part of that.
the Middle East. I
Yeah,
met
I'm looking forward to it.
Julian Moore already in Abu Dhabi
Uh-huh.
Festival. She was invited there, and
Right.
William Fredkin and Carlo Vivari, a lot of people you met during your career. And it's very the Middle East is very beautiful also, and it's very exotic location. I think
Mhm.
if you go there in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, or in Morocco, the Sahara, the desert, many
Yeah.
films were shot there. You will be inspired by the surrounding and the people, and maybe you will
Oh,
create
it's
more
great.
stories as well.
I hope so, and that's what I would love to do, you know. So I really
Mhm.
look forward to perhaps our paths crossing again.
For
And
sure, with
for
pleasure.
anybody watching, I just thank you for sticking around with us. And what a great
For sure.
conversation about film and old film, new film, and everything in between. Thank you so much for that.
Great. And I look forward for the release of your new shorts and
Thank
episodic,
you.
work. And I look forward to watch it. I will wait for the zombie apocalypse film. I miss the 80s and the 90s, by the way. Huh?
Oh
So
man, I'm waiting.
I hope this will, will bring up some good memories from my teen years as
I
well.
think it will. I think you're going to be very, very pleasantly surprised on this one. I really do. I think it's going to be surprising for everybody. They're going to really enjoy
Great.
themselves. Yeah, it's a good
Thank you
one.
very much, Katie. Enjoy the rest of the day, and I wish you all the best in the upcoming period and the new year.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Take care,
Take,
everybody.
thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Ciao.